I actually built some Lego. I built some proper Lego. Well, not proper Lego. It's kind of a mock. It is certainly one of my own creations. It's not very beautiful, is it? It's just another skyscraper. I'm actually going to take it apart, redo it, I think. Well, some of it. But that's not what we're going to talk about. I'm actually going to talk about an altercation. Yesterday I had an altercation of the road variety. There was road rage. I suppose there was some misunderstanding. There was definitely some misunderstanding. There was overreaction. There was huge overreaction on someone's part, actually. There were lessons to be learned. Lessons for me. I can't make other people learn lessons. I certainly can learn lessons. So what happened was, I was already in a bad mood, I'll be honest. It wasn't a good start. I woke up. As you get older, you just end up with more aches and pains. And when they all come together at once, it's quite mood changing. Lots of little ailments that add up together to be irritating. How am I going to take this apart? So I was already in a bad mood because of that. And then I was at work and nothing worked at work. It was one of those days, you know those days where it doesn't all come together. I broke it. So I spent the day, not in a great mood, to be honest. And there's something to be said for, if you're in that sort of space, not going out on the roads. I perhaps shouldn't have gone out on the road, but I had no choice. I had to get home. And this will alienate some. That's a fucking lie. No one watches this. This will alienate nobody. I cycle. I use a bicycle to get from place to place. Why do I use a bicycle to get from place to place? Mainly, it's quite cheap. There isn't a financial penalty for riding a bicycle. You don't have to spend any money whatsoever, really. Things wear out, you put some new bits on, it still goes. But mostly, once you've got a bike, that's it. It's not like many other forms of transport. Like, if you're on the bus, you have to pay your bus fare or your season pass. If you travel by train, the same. If you travel by car, you have to put petrol in it or put electricity in it. You have to pay the various other things that come with owning a car. I don't really know. I don't have a car. I don't have a car, which will probably alienate more. Not sponsored. So what happened was, I left work, not in a great mood. It's dark, because it's the middle of fucking winter. It's very cold, because it's the middle of fucking winter. There was ice and snow on the ground, because it's the middle of fucking winter. And really not very far from work, just around one or two corners, I was going cycling through a small, quiet residential road, which is actually a route I've chosen to take to avoid major roads, so that I don't have cars up my arse and that sort of thing. Cycling along on the left-hand side, as we do in this country. On the right-hand side of the road was a row of parked cars. That's a problem for another day. And coming towards me was a car. I was cycling in the left-hand tyre track in the snow and ice on the left-hand side of the road. I couldn't really pull over any more to the left. I shouldn't have to anyway, just to be safe. But when it's snowy and icy and it's an unswept, quiet residential road, it was really the only safe place I could go. The car coming toward me had a choice. They could slow down fractionally, just really delay themselves by a matter of literally seconds until I'd gone past the parked cars on the right-hand side. They wouldn't have had to stop. They wouldn't have had to change down a gear. Literally, they just could have barely slowed down, just enough so that I could clear those cars, and then they could swing out from their side of the road to get onto my side, the middle of the road, to get past the parked cars on their side of the road. That's all it would have taken, just for them to slow down fractionally, but they didn't. And there's times when you can see something coming, see something happening. I just gauged the way they were driving, and they accelerated instead. And there's not really enough room to safely get past the parked cars and me doing that. So they came towards me, they passed me extremely close. Far, far closer than was safe, far closer than was necessary. As I said, if they just slow down fractionally, no problem. But as I see time and time again, there's a certain arrogance. There's a certain, I am in a car, you're on a bicycle, therefore my right of way is greater than yours. Which I'm sorry to say to some people. I'm really sorry to say this, but that is not true. We have equal right of way. Some might say a bicycle is actually more right of way because they're the more vulnerable road user, and as the law stands now, you're supposed to give more way to more vulnerable road users. There's a hierarchy of road users. Motorists should pay more care to cyclists, who should pay more care to horse riders, and we should all pay much more care to pedestrians. They are the most vulnerable road users. This person obviously didn't give two flying fucks. They accelerated towards me, vroomed past me, and they were vrooming because they hadn't had time to change up a gear. So they were vrooming. I saw red, and as they went past me, I shouted very loudly, "Fuck you." It was louder and more insistent than that. Probably more shrill as well. That was my mistake. That was a great error. I should not have done that. I should have just kept cycling, let it pass. He didn't hit me. Be thankful that he didn't hit me and just keep driving. There's no way I'm going to change anyone's behaviour by shouting "fuck you" at them. Obviously, they believe, because they're powerful and in their large car, that they have more right than me. Not just right to use the road, but the right to take away safety from someone, to put someone in danger. As a result of my error, they slammed on their brakes. I heard a "you what?" from the car, and I stopped and looked round. That was another error. Then they started reversing, and I thought, oh, for fuck's sake, we're dealing with a thunder here. So I pedalled away, them still reversing towards me. I thought they'd just, reverse for a little bit and then drive up. But no, this person was so incensed that I'd called out their bad behaviour that they followed me. I turned onto a main road. They were still following me. I jumped onto the pavement so that, I don't know why, so they couldn't run me down. They drove past me, pulled in. I went into a side road. The next side road along, unfortunately, joined up to the side road I'd gone in, so I saw them coming around the corner. I was in a panic by now. I thought, these are aggressive people. Whoever this is an aggressive person. This is not going well. Luckily, there was a car garage just there. I didn't know what else to do, so I went into the car garage, me, my bike. This car drives towards, pulls up. The driver gets out. Fat man, effing and blinding, shout at me, what are you doing? Why are you swearing at me? What are you doing? What gives you, what are you doing? Two other people get out as well. I think, oh, fucking hell, yeah. I went in, I think I sought some refuge in this garage, because I thought perhaps there'll be other people. They can't attack me. If they do, there are witnesses. Maybe the fact there are witnesses will persuade them to not attack me. Maybe there's even CCTV. I don't know. I was in a panic now. I was frightened. I was frightened by the situation. My adrenaline was up because I'd been endangered. I reacted at the time, and then it just escalated. This person was clearly furious that someone had questioned his right. So I sort of cowered in the garage. He came in toward me. Thankfully, the two people in the car with him were, especially one of them, was really trying to hold him back. Perhaps he knew this person was violent. Perhaps he knew that there were other people around in this garage and attacking me would be a very bad idea. So he kept shouting. I don't remember, I must admit, because of the state I was in. I don't remember exactly what he was shouting initially. He was very, very angry and he wanted to do me physical harm. I was very frightened. Yeah, I didn't need that. No one deserves that. No one should face that. He started saying things like, "How dare you swear at me? What if there'd been a woman?" I mean, what? I didn't understand that question. What if there'd been kids in the car? What if there'd been kids in the car? Really? Is that the example you want to set? You're driving like that? Endangering other road users? Is that the example you want to set? But obviously I didn't say this to him because he was very angry. Looking back, that's what annoys me most, is like I had no comeback in the situation. I couldn't reason with him. I couldn't say anything to change his mindset, which was that I was in the wrong. Yeah, he kept coming up towards me, in the way those, thuggish, stupid people do when they're wanting to have a fight. Sad, fucking tragic, man. Like, if that's the best you can come up with for interacting when there's a disagreement, I mean, really, it's not good humaning, is it? I was apologetic, to say the least. His friend who was holding him back was saying, "You better apologise. You're stupid. You shouldn't have said that. Stupid. You shouldn't have said it. You should apologise." I said, "Okay, I'm sorry." The guy working in the garage, poor guy. I feel bad for bringing it upon him, but honestly, I had no choice. I had nowhere else to go. If I'd kept going down this dark, completely empty road, who knows what would have happened? Perhaps, it would have ended differently. So I'm sorry for the guy in the garage. He did me a solid by just existing. He was trying to calm the guy down as well. The guy starts showing his true colours then, not just his really stupid, aggressive colours. What's underneath the root of this is that someone on a bicycle has had the temerity to question his rule. "It's a shit bike. It's just a shit bike. Do you pay tax? Do you pay tax for your shit bike?" Tax? Do you pay tax? It's that old classic. The real refuge of the fucktard there, which is road tax, which doesn't exist. But they still cling to the fact that it's road tax. And because I don't pay road tax, what right do I have to challenge his right of way? I don't know if this will ever change. I don't know if we'll ever get out of that rut, the road tax rut. I mean, it's not the first time someone has said that to me. And you see it in comment sections. If you ever stray into the comment sections of something like the Daily Mail, which is a real bastion of idiots, road tax comes up, even though road tax doesn't exist. I suspect they know road tax doesn't exist, but they've got nothing else. So he's talking about, do you pay tax? Well, I pay income tax, I pay council tax. The council tax which funds the roads we're on, same as you. What other taxes do you want me to pay? As I say, that was him showing his true colours. He wasn't angry at me for shouting, fuck you. It wasn't swearing that angered him. It wasn't that it might be women and children in the car that might have heard that. It was that he thinks someone on a bicycle is a lesser human being, has less right of way. It shook me. He calmed down a little bit. His friend's words sort of got through a bit, and he realised that perhaps attacking me would be foolish. I kept apologising, kept saying, look, it's just a misunderstanding. I'm sorry. Obviously, deep down, I'll be honest to you, my lack of viewers, I wasn't sorry at all. The fuck you was the very least he deserved for driving like that. I won't say what he deserves. That won't get us anywhere. Maybe you can imagine what I'm imagining. He calmed down. It seemed to go on for a very long time. It can't have been going on for long, but it felt like a long time that he kept shouting, and then gradually calmed down. Toward the end, he even offered to shake my hand, so I took my glove off and shook his hand. He said, that's the end of it, but you want to be careful cycling around here. That's not something you want to hear. Needless to say, I won't be cycling that way again. Which is a shame, because it was quite a nice way to go, as I say, because I went that way to avoid more major roads where I am more of a hindrance to more cars. So yeah, I'll just go back. I'll cycle on the pavement or something. There's nobody around, no pedestrians around there. It's just a horrible industrial area. What got to me, after they'd all gone, I was still a bit shaken. I walked out of the garage. The poor the geezer in the garage, what a legend. He said, yeah, he shouldn't have talked to you like that. That was out of order. He said, you did the right thing coming in here, because I'm an older guy, so they respect that, so they wouldn't have done anything to me. So yeah, you did the right thing coming in here. And I'll be honest, when I think back to now, the thought I'm trying to cling on to is that I was extremely sensible to go into that garage. I was lucky that garage was there. I am shaking now thinking about this. He said, take a minute, calm down. That's right, you did the right thing coming in here. That guy shouldn't have acted like that. He shouldn't have said those things to you. That obviously that helps when there's an impartial person. He didn't see what happened before. He didn't see me swear at the guy. He didn't need to, really. He heard it from the guy. Yeah, but for him to say that was nice. It made me feel better that I wasn't in the wrong. After it was over, you'd think that I'd be relieved. You'd think I'd feel better about the situation. But as I cycled away, the first thought that came to me was loneliness, a feeling of loneliness. And it's related to why I'm making these videos. It's because I can't talk to anybody about this. The reason I felt lonely, the reason I'm doing this now, talking at myself really, is that I feel so disconnected from the world. I feel like I don't fit in at all into the world. The norm, I see it every day on the roads, is that car is king. And no one questions it. I see little glimmers. I see articles occasionally in the paper about people trying to get society away from our car-centric culture. But it's too few people. The vast majority of people use cars. So why would they ever do anything that would hinder them in that use of cars? It's easy for me to say I don't use a car, so I wouldn't be affected by any rules or laws that would reduce the rights of car drivers. But something has to change. Cars blight this city. They blighted the last city I lived in. They blighted other towns and cities I've lived in. They blighted villages I've lived in. Everywhere there are cars. They take up so much space. That's the real problem. They take up so much space. And most of the time, especially during the commuting times, most of the time, there's one person in the car taking up all that space, moving along quickly, knowing that they live in a society, in a culture where they have absolute right, where their right isn't going to be impinged. Is that the word? They are used to be able to park their cars for free. The residential roads where I live have a single lane down the middle because there are parked cars on either side. So if you're going along on your bicycle and a car comes the other way, there isn't room to squeeze past. Invariably, I have to stop. I'm supposed to be building Lego here, so people are used to being able to just drive freely and quickly with nothing in their way. Bloody cyclists slowing them down. They used to be able to park freely and easily, making the roads more dangerous. Even when cars are parked, they're dangerous. Do you know how difficult it is to get out, pulling out of a side road around here, or fucking anywhere where there are cars parked, and both sides of the side road, both sides of the road you're trying to turn into, having to just see, are there any cars coming? Are any of the cars moving? Are any cars disguised just about to pull out? Are there any cars tucked amongst the other cars that are just about to move? But people are used to that. It's completely normal that all the roads are clogged with cars. And anything that gets in their way is frowned upon. Interestingly, if another car gets in their way, that's fine. People are content to sit in traffic jams. Meanwhile, all the cars around them are causing them to be delayed, and they themselves are causing everybody else and themselves to be delayed. But if a cyclist slows them down for a few seconds, it is literally a few seconds. If a cyclist slows them down for a few seconds, vroom, gotta get past the cyclist. Doesn't matter what happens. Doesn't matter how close I have to get to it. And they probably do think of cyclist as it rather than a person. Doesn't matter. Cyclist, get past. Vroom. Other cars, not a problem. The fact that everywhere, where you live, where you work, everywhere you go, there are parked cars everywhere. Don't forget, that's private property abandoned in a public place. And we're all okay with that. Fuck me. He said, you pay taxes. I pay taxes, council tax, which funds the local roads around here where people freely park their cars. I'm the mug. Nothing's going to change. Which is a roundabout way of saying, I fucking hate the world. I despise it. I despise humankind. Because most people just accept the stupid, dangerous status quo. Thousands of people are killed each year on the roads, but it doesn't make it to the news. One bus overturns, loads of people get injured. No one dies. Loads of people get injured, that makes the news. But that day, I don't know how many people, 10, 20, 30, who knows how many people died on the roads that day? Who knows how many of those people were pedestrians hit by cars? The statistics for pedestrians killed whilst on the pavement by cars is insane. That stuff doesn't make the news because we're used to it. Everybody uses a car, so why would anyone report on anything bad about cars? There's no one watching this, but if some fucker were watching this, this is about the point where some fucker will pop up and say, electric cars though, electric cars, no pollution. Fuck off. Never mind the fucking fact that they still cost a fuck ton of energy to move around, and that energy's got to come from somewhere. Yeah, if you're lucky, it might come from renewables, but, you know, we still use a lot of coal in this country. Sorry, I don't mean coal. We still use a lot of gas in this country. Fossil gas. Never mind the emissions. Cars are very efficient these days. They've got very clean engines compared to how they used to be even, 20, 30 years ago. It's not about the emissions. Electric cars still take up the same amount of fucking space. They still get parked like cunts everywhere. They still get driven by cunts everywhere. That electric cars will solve nothing. Absolutely nothing. Our cities will still be shit if you replaced all the fossil fuel burning cars with electric cars. Nothing will change. Electric cars are categorically not the answer. Electric 4x4s. That exists. There are cars that are as huge as utter driven by cunt 4x4s. Not even 4x4s. They can still be two-wheel drive and still fucking massive. Just everybody wants a big car because everyone's a fat... Everybody wants a big car because, well, I don't know why. Small, whatever. Everybody wants a big car because they have a small presence in other facets of their lives. But yeah, electric SUVs, they cost so much energy to move around these huge things. Imagine what we could do with electrical energy. Imagine what we could do. Tell us, George, what could we do? I don't know. Something amazing, probably. Heat our homes. Imagine we could heat our homes with electrical heat pumps, but instead people drive around huge cars. So, to repeat, electric cars will solve nothing. But not enough people think like this. Over the last 100 years, we've created a civilization that depends on cars. If you say to people, cars are bad, they'll come back, but I need my car to get to work. And that's absolutely true. They probably do. In many cases, not, obviously. In many cases, they're just lazy. But we've created a society where everything's a bit more spread out because we've depended on cars for so long. And that I can't see that changing. I can't see a path from now to anything else because we've created this car-dependent culture. I'm not alone in seeing that it's stupid and ugly and space consuming and dangerous, etc. But I felt very alone cycling away from that altercation yesterday because not enough people realise, not enough people see that we've created a really stupid culture. I feel very alone. I'm so fucking lonely. I was in tears cycling away from that. Not because of what happened. I was in tears because of how alone I felt. How differently I see the world compared to the vast, vast majority of people. And not just that I see the world differently, but that there's no way it's going to change. Obviously, I believe that my dream version of the world is better. Everybody thinks that. Everybody's ideal world is better than the current world, almost by definition, I suppose. But I genuinely believe that a really different world where we don't rely on cars would make cities so much more lovely, so much more human. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to get any better. It won't change. And there are so many ways in which the world is shit along those lines that I feel I don't want to live in this world. I have no fear of death. Obviously, I don't want to die painfully. No one wants to die painfully. But I actually look forward to death so that I can get away from this world and not have to see every day how fucking humans have fucked it up. We really have fucked it up. It'll recover. If humans would disappear, or if humans keep making the world less habitable for us, something will survive. Obviously life will survive. Life will go on. Life finds a way. But humans are no good for ourselves. It's not that we're no good for the planet. Obviously we've wiped out Christ knows how many species, but there have been other ridiculous extinction events before, and life has bounced back. So life will bounce back again after humans are gone. But it's just that we're ruining the planet for ourselves. We're making it less habitable for us. We're very adaptable. We'll survive. We'll find ways of living when we're all living on a boiling water world. But yeah, eventually humans will die off, and honestly, it can't come too soon, can it? So I don't have any fear of death. I hate this world. I feel massively lonely in this world because not enough people share the problems of the world. Most people just blindly carry on, driving their cars, stuffing beef burgers into their faces. And they know, they're told, these things are bad. Climate change, there's a climate crisis on. They know this. Possibly they follow news sources that don't shout that from the rooftops. The aforementioned Daily Mail, I suspect, rarely tells its readers that there's a climate crisis on, and they should perhaps change their behaviour. But even if you follow idiot, fucktard news sources like that, you must see somewhere, occasionally, what you're doing isn't great, but no one's going to change. Humans won't change like that. We're selfish cunts. On a micro scale, like taking up too much space on the road, to a macro scale, a general feeling, not giving a fuck what happens to the world, because damned if I'm going to change my behaviour. And I feel lonely for feeling that. That's why I was in tears. Loneliness. Too few people see the problems. And that guy's aggression, the initial aggression, before I saw it, the initial aggression was symptomatic of the way the vast majority of people think. I feel so lonely. Thanks if you've watched this far.